All right, here is my presentation on classroom expectations to combat poor behavior. So one strategy that I picked was explicit rules and expectations. Research has shown that creating explicit rules and expectations for both the classroom and school-wide setting has had a positive effect on classroom management as well as students' academics. With the No Child Left Behind Act, schools were working to improve academics and help all students, but they found that this became difficult still when they realized that poor classroom management was a big issue that had been affecting students' abilities to perform in the classroom. When classes were managed poorly, then academics tended to go down. One strategy that practices effective classroom management is implementing rules into the daily life of the school. So the meaning of rules and expectations. Rules and expectations are understood policies that govern a specific organization or activity. When implemented and followed, they allow for equality between members of a community. In the classroom, rules provide students with a guideline for what is appropriate and inappropriate behavior. Three components to rules are making them explicit so that there's no confusion, consistency in enforcing them so that they do actually create equality. When rules are not enforced consistently, then there is inequality. Students are treated, some students are favored over others, and it just does not motivate students to actually follow the rules. And communication, so that everyone, including teachers and administration, are aware of what each rule is and why it is being used. So point one is consistent communication of expectations. So one common theme throughout the research was a call for consistency in both communication and in enforcing the rules. Schindelheim has found that there was a decrease in disruption when the rules were communicated clearly to the students and the teachers were consistent in enforcing them, like I mentioned before. One of the reasons for this is because when the reason behind the rule is communicated openly to students, they are more likely to follow it, rather than, or if they know why it was enforced, rather than if they don't understand why the rule is even there to begin with. As well, when students don't feel that the teacher is only enforcing the rules on students they don't like, then the students are more likely to continue good behavior. So like I mentioned before, when students notice that they're always the one getting punished when another student is doing the same thing but it gets away with it every time, then they just don't feel as motivated to follow the rules anymore, because they figure if they're always just going to get in trouble but nobody else is, then why even try following the rules? Point two is acceptance and internalization. When students feel that they took part in creating the rules, they feel more accepting towards those rules and are able to internalize them better. So when students accept the rules, then they basically are saying, okay, like, I understand why this is here, why we're using it, and I'm gonna follow it because I understand. Alter and Hayden recommend having students take an active role by having them create posters for the rules or doing role plays or demonstrations, as well as there are other options to make the students feel included. Feeling ownership towards the rules in the classroom will lead the students to be accepting of the rules and internalize them, making them more willing to follow the rules on a daily basis. So essentially, when students feel ownership towards it, when they feel that they helped or that they came up with a rule or something like that, then they're more likely to internalize them and understand and then accept them and decide to follow them. So 3 implications for practice. The first is teachers should invite students to help make or expand a list of rules for the classroom. This was mentioned before. This also could be encouraging students to accept and internalize them by having the students make posters or role play the rules. So this was all mentioned before. The second is frequent monitoring of the rules, not only ensure that they are being followed, but also that they are achieving the desired behavior, or at least getting rid of the undesired behavior. So if a teacher monitors the rules in the hallway, how they're being followed, but notices that a specific rule still isn't getting what they want, if it's still allowing for poor behavior, then they need to fix it. So teachers and administrators should update rules when necessary. Teachers, administration, parents, and students should all keep open communication about the rules. So this means making sure that everyone understands what the rules are and why they are used. When the rules are not communicated properly, when students don't know the full extent of what the rule is, if they know maybe part of it, or they don't understand that the rule means you can't walk down the hallway out of line, then they're not going to follow the rules. So if they don't understand the rules, they don't know what they even are, if the teachers don't tell them the rules at all, then there's no way for the students to follow them correctly. Future directions for research. One area that research on this topic could be expanded is how it applies to special needs students. The research found does not go much into detail about how explicit rules can benefit or hinder the academic performance of students with disabilities. So they should probably just do some sort of study to see if it's the same comparison as to regular education students, or if it's different and if we need to do something else. The second area that more research could be conducted on is what to do when explicit rules have been made and established but are blatantly broken. So if a school does have explicit rules and they show them in the school, they let the students know about them, but students are still repeatedly breaking the rules, what should teachers and administration do about that? Do they need to change the rule, make it more strict? So after reviewing the research, it is clear that when rules are too vague, the line between breaking and not necessarily breaking it, is unclear, but what should teachers do when students still repeatedly break the rules could be researched more. And then to conclude, overall, the implementation of explicit rules and expectations in schools proves valuable. Rules that are kept well seem to be an effective way to prevent undesired behaviors. Less of these undesired behaviors means less distractions in the classroom, so academics should benefit from the strategy as well. Expectations for students encourage them to have responsibility and practice having responsibility in other aspects of their lives. Creating explicit rules and making them well known around the school community nurtures a positive atmosphere and strengthens the learning environment overall. And here are my sources.